what's the most important thing right now for the company? So when we got started, the most important thing was getting registered users, getting users to actually install the app. And then it became getting drivers and getting kilometers driven and retention and acquisition and getting users to use specific features. But there are different phases in the company where different things matter. And that clarity about what's important to you at this stage is critical, because assuming you have a smart team and everyone's great, all the ideas are smart. I think that's the core of what the CEO's job is, especially in a startup. It's being able to know at every given point of time what is the one thing that's the most important for us now, and being able to communicate it and get everyone in the company focused around, okay, this is the big thing we have to get done now. This is the most important thing, and all the resources in the company need to be focused on that one thing. And obviously choosing the right thing is the billion-dollar question. What we thought is, look, we're building a map, which is an extremely expensive product to do. There are two companies in the world that do this. There's a duopoly of Navteq and TeleAtlas. They each had about 4,000 employees, and they spent $500 million to $1 billion a year just on cost. And so when you look at that, it's a huge barrier for anyone else to come in. We were coming in, and with the help of some volunteers, we were building our own map. And our plan was basically to disrupt the space. And the way we're getting to the market is we will sell our map for a very low price. And then at the end of 2009, Google came out with a free navigation software and destroyed the whole market. Now, that was our plan. We were going to destroy the market. We were going to be the disruptors. I bundled up in a corner and cried a lot. Then I threw up, and it was quite a trauma for the company. I mean, we were building this whole model. Suddenly, a small startup like Google comes in and just destroys everything for you. And it obviously created a lot of stress on everyone. It put us into this dark period of time where we couldn't raise money. I mean, literally, we spoke to every investor, every VC, et cetera, and could not raise money for it. But the good thing about it is that it forced us to focus on how are we going to be different than a traditional GPS. And that's where we doubled down on the social aspects of the application, on the traffic, on the real-time reporting, and all the things that make Waze unique. And I think there's also a very important lesson here. Looking back, I can't believe I was so worried about Google. And I'm sure a lot of you are thinking the same, right? Whatever your startups are, you're actually competing with large companies. Because anything you do today, if it's interesting, one of the large companies is going to be doing it. So either you do something that's not interesting and nobody cares about, and I hope that's not what you're doing, or you're going to do something that by definition will put you in conflict with some of the largest companies in the world. When you think about competition, you need to think about yourself. Nobody cares about you when you're a startup. Right? Nobody's even heard about you, probably. And your competition is your ability to execute. Your ability to actually get stuff out the door, your ability to listen to your customers and your users, and your ability to deliver a better product. Believe me, no one in a large company is even thinking about you, and so you don't need to think about them either. If you can execute well and deliver, the users are going to come to you. We had an office in Palo Alto. And the question was, where am I going to rent a house? And I specifically did not rent a house in Palo Alto. I rented it in Los Altos, so I'd have a 20-minute commute every morning. So every morning, I could use the app and test it. And I think that's really at the core. If you think about Waze, everyone from day one uses the app. Everyone that works in the company, everyone has an opinion. Everyone shares their opinion. Everyone is constantly looking for bugs. There's something about, we call it dog fooding, but using your own application and being passionate about it. If you don't care about your app, nobody in the world should. How much feedback do you take from users and how much do you go because you believe in something is a pretty big tension. If you think about, Steve Jobs is probably the most famous person to come out and say, never listen to your users, they don't know what they're talking about, right? That's one extreme. And the other extreme, you can A/B test everything, but no great products were ever A/B tested into being, right? So that's a tension on both sides. But I would say when it comes to being user-focused, you have to explain why this is important to the user. It's very easy to explain why this is important to you. Oh, we want everyone to do this and this and that. That doesn't mean that's the right thing for the user. And so for us, it's always about the user first, and then we'll figure out the rest. There are a lot of advantages that startups have in their ability to innovate and to move and to be focused about what they're doing. And the more focused you are, the better your chances are of succeeding in that small thing. And always the challenge with a startup, right, is dreaming really, really big, but executing very small on a very small step and being the best at that narrow, tiny thing that you're starting with. And I like to say to people at startups, you don't know how good you have it. Because when you're starting out early, you have no constraints. You're creating constraints for yourself. as you go forward. But in the beginning, there's nothing. You can do anything. And that's the amazing thing about being in a startup, definitely early on, is that magical thing, this feeling that you could do anything you want.